Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome into episode number 55 of our WWE 2021 Save and TEW 2020. This is No Mercy, our SmackDown branded pay-per-view for October, and headlined by The Rock's return to the ring, as The Rock will team up with Damian Priest, take on Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And let's jump into it. It's a stacked card. We got a lot of big stuff to get to. So we start with the pre-show. Jeff Hardy and Ricochet get the win over Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin. Ricochet gets the pin on Corbin here. 61 overall. Actually, pretty surprised and pleased by that. I just think overall, overness-wise, I thought this is probably about right, though, I guess. But I wasn't expecting much from this, but pretty well here. And just as a note, we are going to go with Enigma, I think, is the tag team name for Jeff and Ricochet. That was mentioned in a couple different variations. I was laughing because a couple of you actually mentioned that. Different names when that word was a common theme. So we may just use that for this group now. If you have anything better, let me know. Different spin on it, but I like it. We're going to use that for this duo here. But as usual, great chemistry. Hot new move from Ricochet. We are leaning into this duo here, as you can tell. And so we have made some booking changes based off that. We usually like to book well in advance, but we have restructured some things based on the success of this team early on. So we'll see where it goes. But that is where we're at right now, and they get another win here with the victory over Crews and Corbin. All right, let's jump into the main card, which starts with a very interesting match put together by the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and announced for the card by Mick Foley. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. The Battle of the Usos will kick off No Mercy. And it is in a 61 match as well. Jimmy Uso gets the win over Jey Uso using underhanded tactics. So this is where I wish, in TEW we could kind of add more into the match, because the matches can tell the story sometimes, as we know. But the thought here is, Roman Reigns has really been building this as though these two have to win. Like, something has to give here if they're going to stay in the bloodline. He's tired of them not proving themselves, as this top tier, competition, and proving themselves as the best of the best, basically. And that in the match, leads to these two just deciding, all right, we've got to do what we got to do. And they're brothers. They probably fought before, right? So they are just like, all right, gloves off, let's go. And as the match goes along, you start to see, some of that desperation where they're like, all right, well, one of us has to win here, and we're trying to please the head of the table. And it turns to Jimmy deciding, all right, well, I've got to win, and I'm going to do it by any means necessary. So he uses the underhanded tactics to get the win over Jey here. And at 61, a little disappointed because you look at the in-ring performances, you would think this would be a little bit better. But for some reason, it's just always been this way with the Usos. And, the odd heel-face combination, that obviously knocks it a little bit. But I would have liked this to be a little bit better, but that's okay. I think they'll be all right on this. But we did use the tainted finish because that's going to play into the storyline. And speaking of that, after the match, they are not done because Jey not happy with Jimmy going the cheating route here. And so they just start brawling. They're not done. Again, two angry brothers at each other, like they're used to this, probably fighting as kids and all this. Well, they're fighting again. And Jey not happy with Jimmy going the route of having to cheat to win. And so they start brawling. They brawl to the back. Gets a 68 here, so that does better than the match. But we're not done yet because once they get to the back, great rating here, 86. They are brawling through the back, and the camera follows them. And we see Seth Rollins standing with Pat McAfee, who's getting an interview with Rollins. And now, as these two are brawling, Jey turns his attention to Rollins and starts blaming and yelling at Seth, saying, "You're the reason this is happening. You're the reason all of this is going on right now." And so Jimmy, as he's looking at Jey, they're trying to brawl. He does the same. He starts yelling at Seth Rollins. Then they go back to trying to fight each other again. All the officials are coming in, and they're pulling Jimmy and Jey away. So they're out of the picture, blaming Seth Rollins for everything. McAfee, embracing the chaos. We know Pat McAfee. He's loving this. So he asked Seth Rollins, well, I want to know, are you going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase tonight? Your Roman Reigns partner, are you going to use that to sort of get close and then cash in the Money in the Bank? And before Rollins can answer, out of the shadows comes the head of the table, Roman Reigns, walks in, and he just crosses his arms. He's got the title over his shoulder. Rollins got the briefcase in his hand, and Reigns just waits. He's waiting for Seth Rollins to give his answer. And Rollins says, look, I understand what this contract means, and I fully intend to become the Universal Champion at some point. But Rollins says, I promise you it will not be tonight because you saved me on SmackDown. I'll return the favor. I will not attempt to cash in my Money in the Bank briefcase tonight on you. And Reigns, emotionless, just walks away without giving any sort of, hint one way or the other what he thinks about that. So there's the setup, adds more tension heading into our main event. So that's what we have there with the Usos brawling. More tension here. It's building. Let's see what it heads to a little bit later. All right, and tag team match. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, back in action, and they get the win over Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, 15-29. We gave them 15 minutes here. Does a pretty, this is better than the Usos, so 62 overall. Asuka gets the pin on Dakota Kai using the spin kick. Asuka's performance, as usual, head and shoulders. She's still terrific. But I know kind of this is a dynamic where you have two fresh teams that are coming back, and you know how it goes. I don't like having teams lose when they, their first particular match here for Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in terms of tag team action. But there's a bigger story at play, and there always is. And so the thinking here was, kind of build into that, and that's why you see Asuka and Kairi Sane get the win here over Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So it's a solid little match here between these four here, and certainly they will continue to play into a lot of things we have going on moving forward. And backstage, before our triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship, Keith Lee getting ready for his match, and here comes Samoa Joe. And we've got another stare down, face-to-face. These two getting ready, and both of them just smiling. They know what's to come. Like, this is going to be, an all-out battle in this triple threat match with Keith Lee, Samoa Joe, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So we kind of hyped that up here with a little backstage segment, and just kind of building up, the happiness. These two are thrilled to get to go out and just, beat the hell out of each other. So that is kind of what we're playing up here with these two. And that does take us into our Intercontinental Championship match. Triple threat. Shinsuke Nakamura, Samoa Joe, Keith Lee. And then a 72 overall. I would have liked that to be a little bit better, but we'll take it. It is Keith Lee successfully defending the Intercontinental Championship as we give him 22 minutes here. I really wanted to see how it would unfold, and it did pretty well. 72. Keith Lee pins Shinsuke Nakamura using the Spirit Bomb. Keith Lee, third successful defense of the Intercontinental title. So this did pretty well. 72 overall. I thought maybe it could hit the 75 mark, but again, these are all guys that are kind of popularity-wise in their lower to mid-60s, somewhere in there. So that played into it, and we did use a slow build here. I knew that would kind of play into Nakamura's slow and steady, all that kind of stuff. But still, the declining physical ability for Joe and Nakamura, that knocks it. And we had, lack of heat with the storyline. It wasn't that over because it's not one we've been building for a long time, but. So that was kind of the thinking on that. But it does well. We'll take a 72 without question. So Keith Lee successfully defends the title, and as you could probably imagine, there's more to come in terms of the Intercontinental Championship situation moving forward. And then it is our women's tag team champions, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, making their entrances for their tag team title defense. Although, as we know, they don't know their opponents just yet. That leads to Mick Foley coming out. 64 rating here. Good stuff for everyone involved here. And Foley says that, he's been trying to continue to secure great tag teams for the SmackDown Tag Team Division. And he knew that for their next defense on SmackDown, they were going to need a team worthy of the Women's Tag Team Championships. And so he thought he'd go out and get a team who had already proven themselves to be just that. And then Mick Foley announces that the opponents for Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler will be the Iconics. They are back Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they are back and they want the championships back. We see that they, get their gimmicks here, and they're both set as annoying. That's kind of their initial gimmicks on this. Adequate. So we would have liked that to be a little bit better, but ratings-wise, those were the ones that seemed to fit best. I don't plan on necessarily pushing them exactly how WWE pushed them for a lengthy period of time. But the Iconics are back, and this was one I gave the hint that, remember, in our game world when we started in June, this is around that time where the releases happened. And so they were available, I think it was like 28 or 56 days, whatever it was, until they could be, get contracts and all that again. And so I thought about, this is our game. Like, we're not WWE, like who the ones that fired them and booked them the way they did. This is our game world. And so bringing them back, they're a good team to have, I thought. And so we bring them back in the mix here. And it's also worth noting, when we did sign them, Peyton Royce is she's been included in the next big thing category or whatever that is, one of those categories. So, she's perceived, at least in our little creative section, as one of the next rising stars and all this. So that is worth noting as well. 58 overall here. And let's see, can their return be a successful return from a championship standpoint? I think you knew that it probably wasn't going to be. As Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville do retain their titles in 12-29. Deville with a submission on Billie Kay. And that is our second successful defense for our tag team champions. Baszler carrying the match with their in-ring performance here with a 59. Tag team specialist bonus from the Iconics, so that's good here. 57, like I said, I kind of expected that. These two are not that over from an in-game standpoint, popularity-wise. I want to say they're in the low 40s maybe, and that may be high now that I think about it. But so we got some work to do there for them. But it gives us another team, and then that's been a focus. Like I said, we really wanted to build our tag team division, both on the men's and women's side, really. So that has been a big focus here. And, so they're back in the mix. And I know, too, like we talked about earlier, having a team kind of have their first match, for this situation's first comeback match. But having them lose, I think these two have been so dominant, and we booked them that way, that I don't think it really hurts Billie Kay and Peyton Royce at all. But they'll have some stories to play into moving forward. But for now, making your comeback against the champs, that ain't going to work, because the champs are dominant, and they are still the tag team champions. And then it's Bianca Belair. She hypes up her match against Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca looks good here, 74, as always. She does well with the promos, and she says, hey, Alexa's talked about me being the target. Everybody coming after me. She's proven that she can handle anyone coming after her. She's still the champ, and she's still going to be the champ after No Mercy. And so she kind of plays it up there that she is, taking on all challengers right now, and she will do what she has to do to retain her championship, because she is the EST, and let's see if she's right about that. Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And actually, good match here, 74. Bianca Belair does get the win to retain the championship. 21-28, we gave them some time, and that worked out pretty well. 21 minutes here for Bianca and Alexa. But it is Bianca getting the win following botched interference from Dakota Kai. And that allows Bianca to make her fifth successful defense of the SmackDown Women's title. We gained some heat with the storyline. You can probably see a common theme with our little Mean Girls trio on this match. I won't completely spell it out for you, but you can probably tell what's going on with our group of Alexa Bliss, Dakota Kai, Raquel, Gonzalez. We'll see where it goes, but Dakota Kai's interference botched here, and that allows Bianca to get the win and retain the championship. So really, I thought this match would do well. This is probably about what I expected, but yeah, it's good to see the 74, because I think Bianca's star power is carrying it, but Alexa's also pretty decent in the ring too. So this is, that helps. So 74, Bianca still the champion. And then a big segment here. As Mick Foley, he said on SmackDown, he had a special announcement, and he wanted Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt to be there for it. So Foley comes out, we get McIntyre come out, and then it is the returning Bray Wyatt, who hasn't been on SmackDown the last couple weeks after, Drew beat him down again. And we still kind of saw that, Drew's attacks have gotten more aggressive each time. But Bray has still somehow managed to crack that evil smile at the end of them. even when he's been a bloody mess. And Foley has these two in the ring, and like the crowd buzzing, of course, having these two standing on opposite sides of each other. And I mean, just a great segment here, 92. And so Foley says that he wants McIntyre and Wyatt to finish this. He's tired of seeing what this has done to Drew McIntyre, and he wants it to be done because he says that Drew McIntyre was right about knowing that sometimes you have to go to that place you don't want to go to, that dark place, to be able to bring out the best. And so Foley says for him, that came with one signature moment in his career. And so he says that he wants to see if Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt are willing to push themselves to that same point, because he wants this to be done between these two. So at Survivor Series, it will be Drew McIntyre versus Bray Wyatt inside Hell in a Cell, one-on-one. And Foley says, this is it. Between you two, this is all over. Get it all out. Get all the rage. Save it, because neither one of you are going to touch each other before Hell in a Cell, or you will be suspended. So Foley sets it up here. Then afterwards, you've got McIntyre and Wyatt knowing, like, this is the match we're going to have. Bray Wyatt, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell at Survivor Series. Once and for all, this finishes this feud between the two. That's Foley's intentions. But they cannot touch each other until the match. And he wants them to save all that rage, all that aggression. Save it for Hell, is what Foley says. And then Foley walks off. And afterwards, McIntyre and Bray Wyatt step closer to each other. Not touching, but they step closer. They're face-to-face here. And then the lights flicker again. Of course, we've seen this happen a couple times at this point. The lights continue to flicker. Great segment here, 90 overall. Drew McIntyre is looking around. He's not sure what's going on. Meanwhile, Bray Wyatt is laughing. He's laughing at the lights flickering. But they flicker again. They flicker again. And then they just come back on. And they stay on. With Drew McIntyre still unsure of what's going on with the whole light scenario. But Bray Wyatt just laughing as though he knows what's happening with this situation. So, two great segments from these two. And clearly, I have big expectations for this Survivor Series match. Drew McIntyre, Bray Wyatt, Hell in a Cell. We have been building this for a little while. Building up this anger, this aggression, this sort of darker side of Drew McIntyre. How far is he going to go? We'll find out at Hell in a Cell. So there is your setup for that. So that gives another big match. We've got, The Rock versus Roman Reigns. We've got Drew McIntyre, Bray Wyatt, Hell in a Cell. Two big matches thus far for Survivor Series. And then, here he is, Sami Zayn, backstage. He says that he said it all along. He was better than John Cena. He's proven that time and time again with his two big victories over John Cena. He's got his buttons on. Sami just as happy as can be, knowing that he has John Cena's number. He's going to prove that for a third time tonight. And he will, for the third time, beat John Cena. And he says he's already got, a button specially ordered to add another one to his collection of him saying that he beat John Cena. So, Sami very confident heading into his match. Let's see how it goes. Sami Zayn, John Cena. And in a 79 overall here, this is another match that I probably would have liked to be a couple points better. Maybe hit that 80 mark, but it's fine. Unfortunately for Sami, he's not getting that third pin right now as John Cena gets the win over Sami Zayn, 17-10, uses the STF to get the victory with a submission, and I'm glad that they picked this because that will play into something that we're going to do moving forward. I'm really glad that the decision here was to go with the submission finish, which we added in there. It will play into something we have moving forward, but nonetheless, 79, good match here between these two. We did. I mean, I expected a good match, and I'll save this actually for the next segment. But yeah, Cena gets the win. But after Cena gets the victory, the crowd starts to, buzz a little bit. Something's going on. And that's because there is someone making their way into the ring behind John Cena. And it is The Miz. He has returned. The Miz comes in from behind, attacks John Cena, hits the skull-crushing finale, 80 overall here. The Miz is back. And, this is one where if you go back, and if you actually remember back this far, I don't know how many people do, but we drafted The Miz to Raw. So what is he doing on SmackDown? Well, we won't find out tonight, but The Miz makes his return and attacks John Cena. Miz has been out injured, as we know. When we started the game save, he was still out with the torn ACL or whatever it was. So this is actually, his first opportunity to come back. So The Miz is back. And yes, he hits the skull-crushing finale on Cena. So a surprise attack from The Miz on a former rival, John Cena. And I will note, and I've said this kind of teasing in the last segment, originally, and I started playing with this idea about, a month or two ago when I knew we were going to get to Cena and Zayn. I started kind of testing this out when I was booking other shows. Would John Cena put over Sami Zayn? He would not. And I tried it every time, even as we built up Zayn's popularity. I started to realize that Cena in no circumstance was going to put over Sami Zayn. I tried everything. I tried protect him, keep strong. We tried asking him, talking to him, everything. It just wasn't going to work. So the initial plan was going to be to try to see if we could pull off a Sami Zayn win over Cena via interference from The Miz. It didn't work out that way, so we had to kind of set it up this way to where Cena wins the match, then we have Miz attacking afterwards. So that's kind of a little behind-the-scenes note there, that is something that we were trying to do, but it wasn't going to happen. So sorry, Sami, I tried. We were going to kind of turn that into a different sort of storyline, but there's still a lot to come. I'll just say that without giving anything away. But it still turned out pretty well, I think, overall. So The Miz is back, and what is he doing on SmackDown? Perhaps we'll find out on the next SmackDown. We'll see. All right, and now into our main event sequence here. The Rock and Damian Priest backstage. They are ready for this tag team main event against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. The Rock is excited. He knows this is his return to the ring, and he's going to prove that, he's still got it. And meanwhile, he knows that his tag team partner, Damian Priest, does, and they are ready to come out and whoop some ass. That's what The Rock does, and that's what they're going to do to Reigns and Seth Rollins. So basically just your pre-match promo here between these two. And now we get into it. As you guys know, I like to set up the matches a little bit differently when it comes to our big main events. All right, so we start the match here as we've got, the setup is that, we've been building this tension between Reigns and Rollins and wondering, are they going to be able to sort of, get things under control here as a team. And so early on, we see great teamwork from Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as they are just basically taking advantage of Damian Priest in the early going. Then the tide sort of shifts a little bit as The Rock comes in, but Rock comes in and he battles it out with Rollins for a few minutes. So we've got Rock, his official in-ring turn, actually getting into the ring. He's fighting with Rollins. Reigns does not come in. He has no interaction with The Rock early on in the match. And then eventually, the tide starts to turn a little bit again as it goes back in the favor of Rollins and Reigns kind of working over Damian Priest. And that leads us into a sequence where it is. Eventually, we get to the point to where Damian Priest gets out of it. He finally gains some momentum. He makes the hot tag to The Rock. But as Rollins also tries to make the hot tag, Reigns simply steps off the apron and he goes to grab his Universal Championship on the outside, which is sitting right beside the Money in the Bank briefcase. Reigns looks at the briefcase, grabs the Universal title, and simply walks off as Seth Rollins turns and is absolutely livid. As Rollins staring at Roman Reigns walking out, and he turns right into The Rock, who is right there waiting on him. Good segment here, 85. And that, of course, leads to The Rock and Damian Priest taking advantage as Reigns has exited. Double finishers to Rollins. And then it is The Rock who makes the tag officially to Damian Priest. And it's Priest who comes over to Rollins, who has just gotten the double finishers. And in the actual, main event here, the official finish, it is Damian Priest pinning Seth Rollins in 14:55. 81 overall, so this kind of answers our questions about what we thought we could get from The Rock from an in-ring standpoint. I mean, The Rock was good here. 89 overall from his in-ring performance. So pleasantly surprised because I wasn't sure what we're going to get from The Rock here. Even though you look at his ratings, they're very good. His stamina's not great. And so I just didn't know what we're going to get with all this. But Rock was off his game, so we see that here. Rollins also off his game, so this could have been much better, actually, when we think about it. Reigns in amazing form, but as you'll see, I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing based on what just happened, right? But we do at least know that we do have great chemistry between Reigns and Rollins, which you would expect. From a tag team standpoint, probably not one we're going to be leaning into too much, as you can tell by the finish, as it is Damian Priest getting a big moment here in the main event of No Mercy, pinning Seth Rollins after Roman Reigns walks out. And this was something. We put this all together. We did want to keep Reigns and Rollins strong, but we kind of booked it here, and it turned out to be pretty well. We protected The Rock a little bit because I wasn't sure what to do in this scenario. So that's just something we kind of did here, but it worked out okay. I mean, really, I protected Rock, and quite frankly, we probably didn't have to protect Rock here. Although the stamina may have been a little too much, because if you look at his stamina ratings, they are not great. So I'm not sure if I would have done anything differently on this, but still, 81, I'm pleased. Just having The Rock, seeing that his in-ring performance at 89, that definitely helps. And remember, we've got Rock and Reigns, and you see these two in-ring performances, you guys know what we are aiming for with our Survivor Series main event. This should be the best match we've had thus far in the series, without question, between these two. So we'll see if it gets to that point. But so there you go. Your winners, The Rock and Damian Priest. And afterwards, we got to give Damian Priest a little bit more of a rub. Even though 79, would have liked this to be a bit better for sure. But still, we are just we are pulling forward on the Damian Priest train here. Rock raises Priest's arm. They celebrate their victory, and that is how we go off the air at No Mercy. So 83, good pay-per-view here. I thought our main event, could have been better, but I think I am at least knowing now in my mind that The Rock is going to be able to deliver in this main event against Survivor Series against Roman Reigns. That makes me very happy. And look, I mean, elsewhere, we had some good stuff. I mean, some of the matches were solid. Most of our matches were solid for the most part, I think. Some of them I would have liked to have been a little bit better. The Cena Zayn one I thought could have been a little bit better. But we see the way we finished the show here. It's a strong finish. So we increased our popularity in 16 regions. Overall rating 83. We will take that for sure. So that is No Mercy. And let's see what we need to get to before we wrap up. Actually, we got to make our speeches. Hold on. Let's see. Who we want to give some speeches to? Listen, we're just going to keep doing it here. Roman Reigns, we're going to continue to praise this guy. He's the head of the table. Walking out on his tag team partner. That's a great performance there, if you ask me. Who else? Is there anybody else we should... let's see. What about Jay? What about Jay Uso? Let's give him he lost the match. We're gonna still compliment him on a good performance. Actually, we're gonna give him a great performance. Who do we want to tell that they're awesome? Let's see. Who we're gonna tell they're awesome? Sami Zayn. You're awesome, man. Sami Zayn, you're awesome. So there you go. There are speeches. Let's see what we get to before we wrap up. Reigns happy. Jay pleased. Zayn pleased. All right, so that was No Mercy, and we strike gold there as usual. And wait a second, Seth Rollins, a new catchphrase. Here we go. Strike gold with a new catchphrase, spur of the moment, at No Mercy. So what was that? I assume that was probably some expletives, if you think about it. Probably a profanity-laced catchphrase after Roman Reigns walked out on him. But apparently, it's going to sell a hell of a lot of shirts. So maybe it's not expletives. Maybe we can come up with something. Give me your best guess. What is Seth Rollins' new catchphrase? It had to be something right after Roman Reigns walked out on him, I assume. That's it. It can't be "Don't trust anybody" because that was Steve Austin's. But maybe that's kind of fitting here if you think about it for Rollins. So we do great there. Don Callis, I don't know if we want him, but hey, he's an interesting character we could use manager-wise maybe. So Don Callis is a possibility. I don't think we're going to pick up Chase Owens right now. If we look at, let's see, this is going to be McIntyre. Yeah, I knew that. So we're certainly going to re-sign Drew McIntyre, complete that signing. Yeah, I think that's NXT. Yeah, Katrina Cortez. Yeah, that's NXT. So that one's not official yet. All right, to our mail, and I haven't looked at this yet. So NXT contract expiry. All right, there's probably a reason for that. Rich Holland's contract is expiring. I mean, Rich Holland's got some good stats here, so we're certainly going to re-sign him. Let's see, 33. We're going to give him 3 years. That's fine, whatever. All right, so there's that. Rich Holland, Don Callis, Impact, so they're trying to extend him. Sami's contract is ending. No way. What a conspiracy. You know what? Maybe we can use this in the storyline. I think there's something we can do about this. Oh, this is too good. All right, so Sami, we're certainly going to try to keep him. We're going to up his merch 30%, and he doesn't want to work house shows. That's fine, Sami. Whatever you want to do, man. We are here for you. All right. All right, let's see. So that's settled there. JoJo's back. All right. That's good. The Miz is also back. Yes, he is. As we saw at No Mercy. Uh-oh. Michael Hayes has an opinion. Oh, goodness. What's this going to be? It's going to be about Ricochet, isn't it? Guaranteed. Shayna Baszler, too small, of course. Of course you think that Shayna Baszler is too small. Wow. Well, sorry, Michael Hayes. I don't care what you think right now. Yeah, they're the tag team champions. You can deal with it. Drug testing fees. All right, usual stuff there. No Mercy, $3,345,000. So, all right, that's good to know. Oh, God. Triple H got a booking complaint. Really? The guy who's putting himself over everyone in NXT? My recent booking has been poor. I need to be given the chance to get some momentum and be relevant. Well, you know what, Triple H? Let me tell you something right now, pal. You are currently the owner and the booker of NXT. If we look at your match history here, you are 12-0-0. You have won every single match you've had in NXT. Every single match. You have not lost. You have put yourself over everyone. What is this? Is this 2003? What is going on? Come on, Triple H. I'm not booking you on the main show if you're doing everything in NXT. I'm going to have a talk with Vince. This isn't great here. All right, Triple H. I'm going to leave that there because we're going to address this at some point. But we're still in our cooling down period. You know what? We're not. I don't care what Triple H thinks. All right. There you go. There was No Mercy. We did use this as our SmackDown branded pay-per-view we know now that we're in November. And so Survivor Series is 4 weeks away. So we needed to kind of further some things that we have in store for Survivor Series. And remember, we also have the Mae Young Classic coming up 2 weeks after Survivor Series. So there's kind of one where there was some significant stuff on No Mercy, but I'm very pleased with how it turned out because I think that it's going to further a lot of the things that we're going to be using going into Survivor Series. So I think that overall, again, it was an 83. I'm perfectly fine with that. A good show. And I'm very curious to see how some of our storylines continue to evolve on that. But we did have, some surprise returns, as always. I enjoy those. And so, yeah, I think that a good show. I'm pleased with No Mercy, but, Survivor Series at this point it's gonna be huge. And, we try to do that with our Big Four pay-per-views. And, yeah, we're building some stuff for that one. So, as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I can't thank you guys enough. I've said it so many times. Just your interactions, feedback, it makes this so much better. And I always enjoy getting your thoughts on the shows and everything. And your excitement for this series. I love it. Like it just it's so fun and it's very enjoyable. So that was No Mercy. On the next episode, it will be the State of WWE for November 2021. And I'm going to try to get that episode recorded to put out for the weekend. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to, I'm just going to say that right now. It's a holiday weekend, all that. So I'm going to try to do that. That way you guys will have that for the next episode will be ready too. But No Mercy, I think a very successful pay-per-view. And on the next episode, we'll see where things stand with popularity, ratings, all that stuff as we look at the State of WWE for November.